Hey everybody, Weem here, and I am back in the Division and wanted to give you a quick rundown of the upcoming survival mode that will be arriving in version 1.5. I've actually been playing with it on the test server recently, so do keep in mind that things could change by the time it releases, and we don't have a date for that yet. Survival is a new mode coming for the Division in which players are tasked with heading to the Dark Zone to recover antivirals and extract them. However, on the way, your chopper crashes, it scatters you and the other players across the main open world portion of Manhattan that surrounds the Dark Zone. You begin alone and without anything beyond a pistol and some simple green gear. The city is in the midst of an intense storm, so visibility and the enemy NPC threat radius is much lower, but you'll have to do what you can to keep from freezing. To help with this, the appearance or vanity items that drop in the game have an associated warmth meter to them that will help you last longer away from heat sources. And you can find heat sources through various burning barrels. You can even light some barrels yourself if you run across them, or car fires, things like that. You just need to get in the vicinity and you will warm up. Additionally, you'll need to stay fed, hydrated, and use painkillers and other medicines to slow down the effects of a disease you now have. You and the other players will be gathering items for crafting or taking them from each other, and you will be crafting everything you need, including your actual skills. Things like pulse, for example, you actually have to craft that before you can use it. Crafting can be done in any number of new hideouts using crafting benches found inside, and keep an eye out as there can be materials inside these locations as well. Aside from the materials such as these, you'll be gathering food, drink, and medicine, all of which will play an important role in your survival as mentioned earlier. You're all infected from the start, and while initially slow acting, the disease becomes a bigger threat the longer you go. In other words, you're always dying from any number of causes, and keeping death at bay is going to be a regular thing here. Within the outer ring of Manhattan, things are relatively easy, but then again, the items that you gather out there will only be useful to you when starting out. The closer you get to the center, in this case the Dark Zone, the harder the mobs become, but it's also where better loot drops, including the quality of crafting materials. You'll also need to craft a basic virus filter before entering the Dark Zone, so keep that in mind. But once inside the Dark Zone, things operate there as you've come to expect. There are two modes to choose from in survival: PvE and PvP. PvP is pretty much what you would expect. You'll need to watch your back even outside the Dark Zone. Now this is the mode I prefer to play in, as the anxiety of not knowing when and where players may strike from is super fun to me. In PvE you obviously can't harm other players, but you're still competing for the same materials, so that rush or race to the center and the goal of the mode, is still there. You can choose to work together, of course, but you'll be sharing crafting materials in this case. Either way, there is matchmaking to help you find groups, but you can also jump in solo. Matches can last anywhere from a few minutes all the way up to 2 hours, depending on how you fare. There is a 2-hour time limit though, so if everybody's still around at the 2-hour mark, the match will end. Now when you die, you can get yourself back up if you have a med kit on you, which are found or crafted, or if another player gets you up. But if this can't be done, you do have a 5-minute timer before you fall fully dead. One thing to note is that if you are down and unconscious, and where you can kind of crawl around and your 5-minute timer's going, other players can see you on the map. If they bring it up, there's a red X and it says unconscious. In the Dark Zone, enemies can drop sealed caches which can be extracted. Additionally, depending on how well you did during the match, how long you lasted, how many kills you had, how much gathering you did, you'll be rewarded with caches at the survival summary screen at the end. I've been enjoying this new mode a lot, but more importantly, the changes that have come from the last update, version 1.4, have been awesome from what I've experienced. A friend of mine got me to come back after the Dark Zone hacking kind of drove me away. And so I was hesitant at first, but since trying it again, I found myself wanting to race home each day and play it some more. I've been having quite a bit of fun with it. Oh, brutal. Just brutal. Thanks for stopping in, everybody. I appreciate it. If this video was informative for you, helped you get an idea for what survival mode is all about, please do consider leaving a like on it. I would really appreciate that. I've also got a couple of videos here you might be interested in. Otherwise, I will catch you next time.